Thanks for having me. Hi, I hate that that bio that was written about me, but I guess it is what it is now. I'm Jon Tirmandi. I'm one of the co-founders of Normative. Really happy to be here. Good to kick it off. Simon, your story was timely because I do talk a little bit about that. Let's get going. We're here to talk about the future of work. I really like cheesy animations, and so the typewriter one, it just felt fitting for this. So we're here to talk about the future of work. I could have never imagined that this would be my work 30 years ago. When I was 8, I really wanted to be an airline pilot. And so I could never imagine I would be here talking to you guys about this and thinking 30 years into the future. It's really hard to imagine the ways society and everything is going to change. About 20 years ago, this moment happened, and this is the moment when IBM's Deep Blue beat, it was the moment when they beat Gary Kasparov for the first time. And Gary Kasparov in this moment became probably the first human to be supplanted by an AI, at least so publicly. And I love this image for a bunch of reasons. Not because the AI necessarily won, but look at all the emotion here. Like, look at this guy. Look at this guy. His mind in that moment is blown. Like, it's just like his mind exploded. Everything that he believed up until this point has been changed. And it's the same as Kasparov. And I think what we're going to see a lot, over the next, well, we're seeing it today, and we're going to see it in the future, is this push and pull, the winners and the losers of what's happening in technology. And we're going to see a lot of that. Now, Kasparov's a good sport. And he said in 2016 that the future belongs to human and computer cooperation. And we're actually seeing that in the chess world, where the best chess players are not human or computer, but they're centaurs. They're humans and computers working together. And so Mark Andreessen famously said a few years ago that software is eating the world. We think that software has eaten the world. We're looking at it from the other side, and it's because every interaction that we have, more or less, is mediated by some form of software. Whether we're talking to our friends or our loved ones, or we're at the office, or whatever, even like the little crappy 5-cent devices that we have, many of them have software in them, and we're going to see that propagate even further. And this is not new. I mean, like, there's a path. And it goes beyond the digitization. But in the 80s, we had digitization. We had the personal computer come out. In the 90s, we had basic internet. I remember how excited I was in '96 when we got high speed. In the 2000s, we had automation. And right now, we're shifting from automation to augmentation. And what that really means is that software is not just making things easier, but it's becoming our partner in a lot of the things that we do. And there's examples of this all over the place. Oh, you can't hear me. Sorry. Okay. Hi. Wow, that's loud. Okay, so what this really means is that, what's really happening is that the materials of innovation have changed. And so the old materials of, segments, products, form, functionality, objects, supply chains, these are all really important, and these are what I learned in business school, but these are not what are going to create disruptive innovation today. Today, disruptive innovation is crowds, algorithms, networks, information, connected devices, big data, artificial intelligence. This is where all the big change is going to happen. These things are still important, but they're kind of like table stakes. And let me go through some examples. Of course, we have to go through a self-driving example, but this is a self-driving truck on a beer run. This is Volvo and Uber's truck auto. It went 300 miles and delivered Budweiser, which is pretty awesome. But there are things that are much simpler. How Amazon gets its holiday hires up to speed in 2 days. They use tablets that are context sensitive, and the tablets basically tell people what to do. Or we have Watson replacing insurance workers in Japan. We're going to see a lot more of this. But insurance contracts, if you really think about them, they're pretty cut and dry. If you have an insurance claim that fits between a certain set of parameters, then a machine can go through that claim way faster than a human can. If it doesn't fit through those parameters, then it gets flagged and a human can look at it. I'm also a partner and a founder of a logistics startup, and we used Watson just a few months ago to help us with our pricing. And so we took pricing data from all sorts of different sources, and Watson Watson took that data, normalized it, and then came up with day-by-day pricing for the next 2 years. If I did that myself, it would have taken me months. And then it took a couple of weeks, and most of the couple of weeks was just getting the thing set up. This is another startup that we work with. That device on the wall is a Bluetooth and computer vision sensor, and this is a hospital room. And basically what that device does is it captures the movements of nurses and doctors as they go around the ward and makes sure that patients are seen in a timely manner. So nurses and doctors wear a Bluetooth badge, and that device makes sure that each patient is being seen at least once an hour, and then takes that data and compiles it for the entire hospital and gives hospital administrators a bird's eye view of what's happening in the hospital at any given moment, so that they can more efficiently allocate staff and make sure that they're compliant to the patient care things that they're doing. And we're going to see a lot more of these. I don't know if there's crypto people in here, but I mean, is there any further evidence required that software is eating the world when a Bitcoin is $15,000? We're also working on crypto stuff, which is awesome. One of our clients a few years back was ClearPath. This is a forklift, basically. And we had to design ways in which humans could understand how to train the forklift, and then also where the forklift could communicate to humans what the human should do. And then this is kind of my favorite augmentation video, where we're allowing people to do things that they couldn't previously do before. And I think that there's going to be some amazing stuff that happens in robotics and computers and augmentation on this side. There was another video, I just couldn't find it this morning, of somebody who had never walked before, who was paraplegic or hadn't walked for years and years in some sort of a device, and they were walking for the first time, which is just incredible. For most of us, our experience with AIs and our experience with this type of stuff is going to look like this. We're going to have some app on our computer or on our mobile phone, and it's going to book stuff for us, or going to make things easy for us. Every time we interact with something like this changes how we see the world. We have one of these moments. And every time we interact and use something like this, there's a guy that loses, like this, and the person that's using it is like this. All of a sudden, their mind has been blown, and their expectations of every other piece of software that they're going to use and what the world is going to be like is different. And there's plenty of considerations. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to think about. All of the examples that I showed pretty much are going to cost people their jobs, and those people are going to be disrupted, and we have to think about those things. And we're in this incredible transition and transformation, and it's going to be great, but it's going to be messy, and it's inevitable. I don't know if anybody's read this book by Kevin Kelly, but it's amazing. If you're interested in what's going to happen in technology, this is a great place to start. And then Kurzweil said that technology goes beyond mere tool making. I'll just summarize it. The Kurzweil quote basically says that technology builds on top of technology, and so all of this stuff is going to happen faster. Not only is it inevitable, but the change is going to happen faster and faster and faster and faster. And so what that really means is that the world is going to continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and we're going to further compress space and time. I've kind of been geeking out on physics lately, so I'm into space-time, but our space and time is going to get further and further compressed, which means that places that were once far are now close. Things that once took a long time to complete are going to happen fast. Information that took long times to compile is going to be at your fingertips. It already is. And this is only going to accelerate. And computers and machines and AI and all these things are going to make the connections, are going to begin to make the connections for us that we're making right now automatically. They're going to be context sensitive. They're going to understand what you want. They're going to understand what we need, etc. And what we won't, and what we're not going to offshore, we're going to automate. Robotics is going to become more prevalent and cheaper. It's going to change manufacturing. It's going to change all sorts of things. McKinsey said that 49% of work activity is going to be supplanted by automation. 2 minutes? All right. I actually think that's way, way off. I think it's going to be way more than 49%. And what we're in right now, and I think a lot of people don't realize it, especially in Toronto because we live in a bubble, but there's a general disequilibrium. And what I mean by that is, and sorry I'm using US stats, but the Canadian stats kind of suck. But this is high school graduates, by county in the US. And then this is the largest private employers by state in the US. And so, we have two realities. In my reality, we have prosperity, optimism, abundance, and growth. And then for a lot of the people, we have poverty, anger, despair, fear, and protectionism. And unfortunately, that leads to the guy that we're not going to name down in the States leading the country. So the world is kind of VUCA. VUCA means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And more than ever, I think that this is a really great term to describe what's happening in the world. And then tech is really changing the fabric of society, and we have to really be thinking about that. Who doesn't love this quote? I mean, I think that, if we want to predict the future, we want to understand where things are going, what the future of work is going to be, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's what we do. This is a plug part of my presentation for my business. And my business partner, Matthew, wouldn't allow me to put the presentation together without it. But we are a software innovation firm, and this is what we do. And I'll just go through how we approach our work, because I think that might give some insights. I think that we all need to have a strong view about what the future is, and then what the considerations are. And we all need to prototype what the future is. In our sense, it's getting to working software quickly. And we do that because we want to reduce ambiguity with evidence. We want to create numbers and metrics that are going to help us understand the world better. And so having a strong idea about the future is understanding AI and blockchain and other technologies that are going to disrupt. Going to software quickly is having a great prototyping team. We have two of our members up there. And then knowing the risks before you take them, that's having educated hypothesis. And so when I look at our value proposition, we help you get your best opportunities to market faster. It's all about serving the needs of people and business. It's all about actively moving a business forward. It's all about doing what's difficult and challenging. It's about the creation of new value, and that's freaking you out. We're not going to expose people to even more risks. It's not about users. It's about usage at scale. That's a really important thing to us. And faster is really important because the world is moving fast. So in summary, the world is VUCA. Change is inevitable and accelerating. Institutions and government aren't prepared, like at all. Technology is moving way faster than education and governments, which is why we have unregulated Bitcoin. I mean, it just completely makes sense. We will work alongside robots, and robots will take jobs, for sure, which will create incredible efficiencies, insights, and gains that will not be equally distributed. And that's what the future is going to look like. And the best way to make the future great is to act, is to design it. Thank you.